You probably felt it too, like the world is speeding up, but the rules for keeping your kids safe have not caught up. You're trying to limit screen time, avoid sketchy ingredients, and still somehow stay sane, but it's hard to tell what actually matters. I'm Dr. Yvonne Burkart, a PhD toxicologist and mom of two, and I've spent decades studying how everyday chemicals impact our health. In this video, I'm walking you through 3 biggest invisible threats shaping your child's biology and 3 science-backed swaps that protect them without overhauling your life. So you can leave knowing exactly what's worth changing and feel calm, capable, and ahead of the curve. Really quickly, before we jump into it, my team tells me that over 80% of people watching are not subscribed. If you've been following this channel for a while, it's definitely worth checking out. It's free and it helps these videos reach more people who need them. And it genuinely supports the work that we're doing here, and I would appreciate it so much. You might feel like you're doing everything right, from the healthy meals, limiting screen time, clean products, yet still wondering if it's actually enough. But what if the biggest risks aren't the ones that you can see? Maybe you're meal prepping, making organic lunches, limiting TV to educational shows, and using all of the so-called green cleaning products, and yet there's still that nagging feeling that something is being missed. Here's invisible risk number 1. AI integrated toys and smart home devices that gather data and expose children to unregulated tech-driven interactions. Microsensors are being embedded in baby monitors, formula packaging, and even toddler shoes. Ingredients are more ultra-processed than ever, but still labeled as natural. Then we have invisible risk number 2, ultra-processed foods and synthetic ingredients that are presented as natural without updated regulations. And the bigger issue is that parents are making choices based on 2016 logic in the 2026 landscape. Instincts that once kept kids safe now leave critical gaps. Invisible risk number 3. Outdated instincts and systems that assume older safety standards still apply to today's tech and chemical exposures. Most of us are parenting in a world that's evolving faster than our instinct, and that mismatch is exactly where the silent risks are hiding. If your first move is to scan a label or check for eco-friendly claims, you're not alone. And you're not wrong, but does that trust still serve you? Think about BPA-free plastic, which was labeled as safe for babies, only for us to later find out that they're still leaching hormone-disrupting chemicals like BPF and BPS. It was a total scam. Labels like green, natural, and even non-toxic are just marketing. There's no standardized regulation behind most of them. And the rules protecting kids from chemical exposures haven't changed much since the 70s, despite exponential changes in what kids are exposed to today. And when you're the one who's responsible for decoding it all, it leads to constant second guessing, guilt from not knowing, and fatigue from trying to know everything. So it's not about doing more research, it's about changing what you trust. And that shift changes everything. Most of us are constantly asking, is this bad? Is this toxic? But that isn't the right question anymore. So what's a better question to be asking yourself instead? Maybe you found yourself agonizing over a shampoo with one flagged ingredient. You're unsure whether it's truly a risk or not. And the truth is that most exposures are not black and white. What matters more is the dose, frequency, contact site, and vulnerability. Your child's age, immune load, and even genetics affect what they can and cannot tolerate. A trace amount of something might be irrelevant for one child, yet disruptive for another. So instead of panicking over every label, every single ingredient, the smarter way to look at it is to ask yourself, what is the actual exposure level? How often is this happening? And is my child especially vulnerable? With that mindset, a product might be fine for occasional use, or it might highlight exactly when it's time to prioritize a swap. When you shift from, is this bad, to what's the possible load here, you move from guessing to having real clarity. And that's where the progress starts. With so much conflicting advice, it's easy to spiral. I get it. You might have had a weekend where you tossed every plastic item in the house only to feel defeated and unsure about what you did a month later, like I did. You don't need to become a homesteader or throw out all tech. You just need a decision-making lens or strategy that's rooted in science and practicality. There are now tools that help to decode ingredient labels, track indoor air quality, and find truly vetted product swaps. And there are even community-curated resources that make this more easy than ever. Because it really is not about adding more to-dos to your list. It's actually about removing the unknowns, so having fewer unknowns, and removing the invisible load that comes from not knowing what matters. So the more you can clear up the what ifs, the more energy you have for what matters the most. Maybe you've tried before and felt like nothing made a difference, but sometimes it only takes one shift to see the change. Take, for example, my client, whose child suffered severe allergies and saw relief within a few weeks of swapping out beauty and cleaning products, household items like cookware, and filtering their water. She and her son have allergies to many things, so finding the triggers took some time. But once we did, things started improving pretty quickly. Her hands were no longer dry and cracking after washing the dishes, and her son's allergies got a lot better. And this isn't a fluke either. It's actual biology that's responding to a reduced toxic load. There are hundreds of stories like this, and while every child is different, the body's ability to repair and thrive when given the chance is pretty incredible. These kinds of results are not rare. They're reminders of how fast the body responds when you lower the load. You might think a single product swap won't matter, but small choices have never held more weight. Let's say your child eats the same snack every day, the one with synthetic dyes or preservatives. It might seem harmless, but that adds up over months and years. Plus, kids are not exposed to one thing at a time. Just like us, we are surrounded by layered exposures, complex mixtures between air, food, water, the different materials around us every single day. And it's not like the body just wipes itself clean like a clean slate every morning. It stores and reacts over time. Your immune system remembers. And this is why cumulative exposure matters. So where do you begin? If you're already overwhelmed, here is the simplest possible place to start. Move away from convenience toward conscious micro decisions and use small intentional shifts in your daily routines to reduce the invisible load on your body. Look at one habit you repeat every day, whether it's a snack that you're packing, a lotion you apply to your skin, a cleaner that you're spraying around the house, and ask yourself, what's the exposure here? Is there a safer option, and do I have access to it? I had a client who absolutely needed to have matte red lipstick because it's her signature look. The one she was using had several ingredients of concern, but instead of telling her to throw it out, we did our best to find the closest match that had better ingredients. Was it perfect? No, but the ingredients were better. Then we dialed in on her other staples and made sure we could create a balanced routine that still delivers results. So start by replacing one product that you use constantly with a verified, safer alternative. This is a small shift with long-term benefits. So once you've spotted that habit, find one product you rely on often and upgrade it to a verified low-tox option. And that single decision has ripple effects over time. In my client's case, her matte red lipstick was something she couldn't go without. So she makes sure to wipe it off before eating and reapply it afterwards to minimize any incidental ingestion. She still gets to enjoy her signature look in a safer way. Because it's not about deprivation, it's about balance and doing our best most of the time. Teach your child or your children to question marketing and reframe passive consumption into active awareness. And don't just stop with products. Pick one message your child hears regularly from an ad, a label, or a character that they like to watch and talk through it with them. Ask them, who benefits from this message? What is it trying to get us to do? Here's an example. My daughter came home from a birthday party with a scented glitter slime. She saw the words non-toxic on the jar and thought it was fine, but paused because she knows that we skip scented stuff the vast majority of the time. So instead of ripping open that jar and just getting her fingers into that slime, I was so proud of her that in that moment she paused, because all of the times that I'd spent reading ingredient labels at the store and teaching my kids what to look out for, like fragrances, paid off. I didn't tell her that she couldn't play with it. She chose not to play with it on her own. And I felt like I'd done a good job explaining these concepts without causing stress, anxiety, or fear. It was a simple stop and think for yourself for a moment. It doesn't have to be a big ordeal because small reminders, quick explanations are enough. You don't have to pull out a whiteboard and do a full-on lecture. The simpler, the better. That way you can get started, and the faster you'll see the shift and the results. So one change today sets up easier wins for tomorrow. And now that you understand how hidden toxins in everyday basics like socks and underwear can disrupt your child's hormones, what about the so-called safe products that you're using every day that might be doing the same thing without you realizing it? Watch this next video where I reveal 5 surprising sources of hormone disrupting chemicals in your home and exactly how to swap them without adding more to your plate. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.